This coming Sunday is the 25th Sunday in Ordinary Time. Jesus has been teaching the disciples some important lessons. Last week's Gospel reminded them, and us, that we must take up our cross and follow him. In this week's Gospel, we are reminded that to be great means to be of service to others. Our Gospel comes from Mark's account, chapter 9, verses 30 to 37. Let's take a listen. Jesus and his disciples left from there and began a journey through Galilee, but he did not wish anyone to know about it. He was teaching his disciples and telling them, "The Son of Man is to be handed over to men, and they will kill him, and 3 days after his death, the Son of Man will rise." But they did not understand the saying, and they were afraid to question him. They came to Capernaum, and once inside the house, he began to ask them, "What were you arguing about on the way?" But they remained silent. They had been discussing among themselves on the way who was the greatest. Then he sat down, called the 12, and said to them, "If anyone wishes to be first, he shall be the last of all and the servant of all." Taking a child, he placed it in their midst, and putting his arms around it, he said to them, "Whoever receives one child, such as this, in my name, receives me. And whoever receives me receives not me, but the one who sent me." You have to wonder what role ambition played in the life of the disciples. Did they think of themselves as privileged in some way? Was there a temptation to flaunt their position as one of Jesus' closest friends and co-workers? Could they become prideful? It is likely that something like this was going on. They are discussing among themselves, we are told, who was the greatest, who was the best, the most privileged, the most favored. Jesus sees immediately how dangerous this kind of thinking can be. He says to the 12, "If anyone wishes to be first, he shall be the last of all and the servant of all." He illustrates his point by putting a child in their midst. In that culture, children were not considered to be very important. They had little status. They would not be considered great in any way. And yet Jesus is turning the table, changing a cultural understanding. "Whoever receives one child such as this in my name receives me. And whoever receives me receives not me, but the one who sent me." He raises up the overlooked, forgotten member of the society and points to their great worth. His teaching would have surprised the 12 and made them rethink what they had been discussing, certainly causing them to take a second look at greatness. How would we define greatness? Does it have to do with wealth or prestige or power? Our culture would define as great those who do have a fortune, cars and homes and lots of possessions, or it would be someone with talent, a singer or actor or actress, or an athlete. A person with talent might be considered great as well. The gospel is telling us that greatness is equated with service. Greatness is not about having other people wait on you, rather is about what you can do to reach out to others. As the disciples had to stop and rethink a cultural definition of greatness, so too each of us needs to reflect on what our culture would define as great and what Jesus is calling us to do, how we are to live our greatness in service to our brothers and sisters. Let the gospel fill your week. See you in church. For now, God bless.